Yippee-ki-yay, buckaroos and buckarettes. I'm Wolfbane, of course, also known as Michael Bain. This is Triggered, as always, every Wednesday morning coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios. And today, I'm also leathered up. You probably think I'm going to a bondage club, but no. It's spring and a young man's fancy, or in my case, a young man's fancy turns to cowboy. It's no secret that I have this thing about lever action rifles. And it's no secret that among those lever action rifles, one of my all-time favorites, a gun that I absolutely adore, is the Winchester 1892 lever action. What I've got in front of me here is a current iteration from Cimarron Firearms. Cimarron, they were sponsors. They haven't re-signed up yet, just to clarify that. But this gun came in because Mike Harvey, who owns Cimarron, said, I got to send you this. When I was at Cimarron for shooting gallery last year, he had mentioned that he was not able to get any guns out of Chiapa, but he had spec'd an 1892 Winchester. Normally stuff is from Uberti. In this case, it's from Chiapa, another great Italian manufacturing company. And he goes, I'll send you one of the 92s when they come in because, boy, I spec'd that puppy, and it's beautiful. And it is indeed beautiful. As you can see, just really quickly running through it, the color case hardening on the receiver, on the butt plate, on the lever. It's 20-inch barrel. It's that really deep, deep, deep blue. Sights are not quite original, but hey, we can all live with that. The wood, you look at the wood and you say, well, why do those Italians insist on this orangish kind of colored wood, walnut wood? Well, because it's authentic. If you go to the Cody Museum or you go to the Autry, you go to any of these museums where they have Western guns available to you, and I've been privileged and very lucky to have gone to almost all of them, certainly the National Firearms Museum. When you see original Winchesters from this vintage, 1892, well, as a matter of fact, you're going to see stocks that look very, very much like this. Brief history, if we could sort of call it a quickie, call it a gun stories, if you will. On the 1892 Winchester, of course, the lineage of Winchester lever guns is spectacular. We start with the Henry, damn Yankee rifle they loaded on Sunday and shot all week. After and into the Civil War, you go to essentially the Winchester, the 1866, the Yellow Boy. The Yellow Boys were the very carbines used by the Sitting Bull against Custer. Turned out they worked great, didn't they? Custer, of course, had those trapdoor Springfields. Not so hot. In any case, the 66 goes to the 1873. 1873 was the gun that won the West. Buffalo Bill, of course, is my patron saint. I consider myself a child of Buffalo Bill. First week we lived in Colorado. We drove to Golden, Colorado, and we drove up the mountain, Lookout Mountain. At the top of Lookout Mountain, that's where Buffalo Bill is buried, under like 12 feet of concrete, because they were afraid, the people in Colorado were afraid that Cody, Wyoming was going to send tanks or something to seize Buffalo Bill's body. But I threw myself prostrate on the Great Buff's grave. But Buffalo Bill called the 1892 Winchester the boss, wrote a letter to the head of Winchester at the time and said, that gun is the boss, it saved me from this big bar. So the 73s were a heck of a gun. But Winchester realized they had to modernize, and so they'd cut a deal with John Moses Browning, over his single-shot rifle. Winchester felt so strongly that they needed that gun. They went to his shop, walked in the door, handed him a check for $8,000, so he'd work for him. And so Winchester said, we need you to build us a lever gun. Of course, John Browning built the 1886 for the big buffalo hunting cartridges, 4570, 4590, 4060, all those big heavyweight cartridges. The 1886 Winchester is a beast, and I love it. It's a big beast. But Winchester realized that the next iteration of lever action rifles needed to be invented, because what you were seeing more is with the arrival of the 1873 Peacemaker, Single Action Army, and various other guns, that there's this huge proliferation of your standardized pistol cartridges, 4440, 3840. 4440, 44 caliber bullet, 3840, a 40 caliber bullet. That 38 was just there to trick you. So they went to John Browning and said, dude, you're John Browning. We need you to invent us another lever action rifle. And Winchester wanted it so badly, they said, here's the dealio. Give it to us in 90 days, we'll give you 10 grand. That's a lot of money when you're talking about, like 1890, 91. Or they said, just to sweeten the pot, if you can do it in 2 months, we'll give you 15 grand. John Browning said, give me 20 grand, I'll put it in your hands in 30 days. And he did. And they gave him 20 grand. Considering they sold 1 million 1892s, 1 million plus, I'd say it was a really well spent 20 grand. So Browning designed this Velt lever action. Strong, it's a very powerful lockup on this gun here. For 3840, 4440, any of the pistol cartridges, or 3240, I don't know, 2520, even 218B, which I would kill to lay my hands on, work perfect in a 92. And from my standpoint, 92s were born for the 44 Magnum. To me, 44 Magnum, as you know, I believe, is the most versatile cartridge ever made by man on the planet. It'll do everything. And as far as I'm concerned, the 92 may well be the ideal platform for a 44 Magnum. This beauty. And it actually runs pretty good. I mean, the Italians have gotten a lot better about understanding how it is to make a lever action rifle smooth. And this one is a pretty smooth gun. I want to show you quickly, just by way of comparison, this is an 1894 Trapper, Winchester Trapper in 44 Magnum. Look at the difference in the action. This was designed for the 30-30, the 30 caliber Winchester centerfire. And you can see it's a much larger throw. It's a much beefier action. And no matter what you do with a 94, it's always going to have a little clunkiness to it. Now, I've had this thing for 20, 30 years. It is a great little gun. I would never give it up. But compared to the classic, compared to the beautiful 1892 with its shorter action, and it's just perfect lines. Who could turn this down? Not John Wayne. John Wayne used a large loop 1892, starting with Stagecoach in 1939. He was still using that gun in true grit in 1969. Remember spinning, riding the horse, spinning that gun, cocking it, and say, "Fill your hand, you son of a gun." Maybe he didn't say that, but it's a great gun. They are absolutely flawless. And with the 44 Magnum cartridge, it is the ideal combination. When we come back, I want to talk to you about another of Michael's experiments in process.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Ammo Man. What's in your ammo can? Tandem Cross, making good guns even better. Lipsies and their wonderful Guns of the Month. Lucid Optics, on target, under budget. And Franklin Armory, creating some of the most innovative guns in America.
Welcome back to Triggered, where I'm all cowboyed up. We're talking about Winchester 1892s. I want to show you this guy because I've got more rounds through this particular Winchester 1892 44 Magnum than any other one that I own. It's Rossi, made in Brazil. I've been to the Rossi plant. God, what a cool place. Those guys are super down there in Porto Alegre, Brazil. And this gun was rebuilt by Steve Young at Steve's Guns down in Texas. And it is perfect. It is the gun, if I had a larger lever, which I may get one, look at that thing. It is like butter. Like butter, I tell you, like butter. The action is perfect. It's accurate. To me, it's like, 18-inch barrel carbine. It's the perfect 44 Magnum. Basically, it looks old because Steve decided to make it look old. He stripped the finish on it. The wood itself has been stripped. It is a great gun. I shot Wild Bunch with it. SAS, Single Action Shooting Society Wild Bunch, which is the guns of the Wild Bunch, including a 1911, either a 1897 pump or a Winchester Model 12 pump, and a major caliber lever rifle. So 44 Magnum, 44 Special certainly qualify as that. And by the way, we're filming a special episode on Wild Bunch for Shooting Gallery in season 2021. We're going to build it around one of the greatest Wild Bunch shooting champions in history, Gene Piercy, Evil Roy, who is retiring this year, having now won everything twice. But and I'll probably be shooting this puppy right here in that Wild Bunch match. But I told you I wanted to, about a project, and this is something we've been batting around for years. And we are now to the point of getting finally to where we're almost there. This is another Rossi, 1892 Winchester clone in 44 Magnum. And this particular one, you'll notice, was put in the washing machine. It shrank. It's a mare's leg. It's, of course, based on the mare's leg that Steve McQueen used in Wanted Dead or Alive. And for years, it cost a fortune to get a mare's leg. We've talked about this before because you had to cut down a Winchester 1892. What happens when you cut the barrel on a gun? You create a short barrel rifle. That's what happens when you do it. And you have to file in advance, get the transfer fee, cut the barrel. And then once you saw these Rossis being manufactured in Brazil, and then later on you saw the Henrys, and you also saw, in fact, the Chiapas, they realized that as long as the receiver was never built into a rifle, if you put a pistol-length barrel on it and you did not have a stock, what you have is a pistol. This is a pistol. By law, this is a pistol. Well, I want it to be a short barrel rifle. Why? Because, number one, it looks cool. If this is 12-inch barrel on this gun, and you say, well, that's really silly. No, what you have is an incredibly fast-handling gun. A 12-inch barrel, I think it's like, it'll hold 6 44 Magnums, which is not chopped liver, kids. But with a regular length stock, and of course here we got the John Wayne thing, I'm not going to spin it, right? I have spun these at ISS in California. I spun a John Wayne rifle. And let's put it this way, okay? This ain't True Grit, and I ain't John Wayne. It looked like a monkey spinning the rifle. But anyway, I want this to be a short barrel rifle because I think it makes it a wicked hog hunting gun, makes it a wicked self-defense gun, and it makes it historically accurate. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Winchester routinely cataloged 14 and 15-inch 1892s in any of their multiple cal. Once again, 3840, 4840, 2520, 3240, 218B. We always think, well, God, they must have really chambered 1 million of them in 45 Colt. No, that's a modern interpretation of this gun. I don't believe that Winchester chambered any of them in 45 Colt. It may have been a small amount. But so we would then have a historically accurate little gun. Like I said, 14 inches were cataloged. You could buy a 14-inch Winchester prior to the 1934 NFA. You could special order a 12-inch. And I've seen 12-inch 1892s made in the late 1800s. So I have done the paperwork, kids. Here's the paperwork. Before you can start doing any kind of build, you have to file a Form 1. That's not the same form you use to transfer a suppressor or a short barrel rifle. Like if you were to buy an 1892 Winchester with a 14-inch barrel, that's a short barrel rifle, and it would be transferred on a Form 4. Form 1 is you build it yourself because in America, at least for the next 6 weeks or so, it's legal to build a gun. You can build your own gun. You can even build a short barrel rifle. You have to pay the $200, the tax. So what I did is I went to Silencer Shop and I bought a Form 1 and then filled it out online. It's really simple. If you have ever filled out a 4473, which trust me, if you're watching this show, you filled out a 4473. If you're me, you filled out, I don't know, 1 billion 4473s. In essence, you're going to be filling out a 4473. You're going to be explaining what you're building. You're going to say, I'm building a short barrel rifle. And they're going to say, why? And you say, for all legal purposes. I'm going to use it for whatever is legal to use this gun for. I hunt with it, self-protection, whatever. All you need to say is for all legal purposes. Not porpoises, but purposes. And then they say, well, how long is it going to be when you finish? Well, what you do is you measure this gun with a 12-inch barrel and say it's going to be from here to here. So you've got a model for it. This is how long it's going to be when it's finished. You get your picture, you get your fingerprints. Now you can go to some place to get a fingerprint. You can go to a Silencer Shop kiosk. I don't know if how long Silencer Shop is still going to be doing Form 1s because there's really not much money in it. But they have the kiosk, but you can also order a fingerprint kit from Amazon. Huh, dogs can fingerprint each other, right? So you got the fingerprints, you got your photo. If you're doing it with a gun trust, then you have to have the photo and fingerprints of everybody in the trust, and it goes forward. And then you send your $200 and that stuff. The way to file it is electronically because that's faster. You can file an electronic Form 1, go to the ATF website, but first visit any one of a number of sites that will tell you how to step through filling out that Form 1. And then you filled out the Form 1 electronically, you uploaded a photograph, because really, let's be honest, you've got cell phones, you got smartphones. Take the picture. Download a passport photograph app. Take a passport photograph. You'll be able to upload that to the ATF website, and then you're going to have to mail them your fingerprints. And then the cool thing is Form 1's clear in somewhere between 2 weeks and 2 months, as opposed to Form 4's, which clear somewhere between 11 months and infinity. So you can build an SBR a lot faster than you can transfer an SBR to you. So as soon as that comes, I'm going to put a stock on it. Before we get out of here, I want to mention constructive possession, because that is one of the biggest scary bugaboos out there. What it says, essentially, what ATF says, is if you own a bunch of parts, and the only way to assemble those parts is into a controlled gun, or suppressor, say, well, that's constructive possession, because the parts can only be assembled in a way that's a regulated firearm. You can only put them together in a way that comes out to a short barrel rifle. So if I bought a stock for this gun, would I be in constructive possession? Not a chance. Because I can take this stock off my 1892, put the new stock on it, and you know what? That's legal. That means the parts that I own can be assembled in a legal way. So I don't actually have a stock by now. I'm still looking. But anyway, we're going to be following this all the way through. I think this is going to be a fun project. I'm hoping for 2 weeks. But, I mean, with the Wuhan death virus roaming the earth, I'm not particularly optimistic. So anyway, I am Wolf Bane. This is Triggered. You can find us on michaelbane.tv. You can find us on Facebook. Yeah, you actually can find us on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube, and thank you for the 43,000 views on our last video last week. We have 1,100 subscribers. I would like to have 100,000 subscribers. Can you arrange that for me? As a matter of fact, you can. So next week, we're going to jump into the future, and we're going to be talking about ARs. You guys stay safe out there.